Where to start? I actually want to start with a little bit of Chelsea. I want to start with Chelsea because you've just gone and signed Sanchez in goal. I'm seeing foul comps galore from Chelsea fans. There doesn't seem to be a good reception for this £20 million deal for this new goalkeeper. Thoughts on it, Don?
It's underwhelming, and I think the reason why we're quite underwhelmed is we were linked early to Onana, and then we walked away because apparently we just didn't have the budget to pay for Onana, which I didn't understand because how much did you pay for him in the end, Terry? Onana?
42 million.
42 million. So that to me, that's peanuts in today's market for a keeper who's going to basically elevate your team. We walked away from that.
Interject. You walked away because he said no to you. That's not a dig. That's just why clubs walk away typically. Yeah.
Yeah, but what was coming out at the time is that we didn't have the budget for him or Maignan. That's what was coming out at the time. We had no keeper budget, and everything that was coming out was that what do you call it? Poch and his team.
Called club talk. You know when you just have to reverse that when a player rejects you, it's no, we don't have the money.
Yeah, you were the ones who didn't get rejected.
I can't lie. The only goal
of a Chelsea camp, don't it?
Listen, the only goalkeeper that I remember seeing rejected us was Maignan. Apparently, he didn't want the move to Chelsea. I didn't see anything but Onana. I could be wrong, but I didn't see anything but Onana rejecting us. But I do remember Maignan rejected us. But again, going back to that, we walked away from that. It was coming out at the time that Poch and his team think they can get something out of Kepa. But I think in pre-season, they've probably seen that this guy's just not good enough. Do you know what I mean? With Sanchez, to me, he's underwhelming. You know, ideally, I wanted a keeper like Onana or a Maignan, for example. But, you know, we got rid of Mendy and Solina's been sent out on loan as well. He's going to get sent out on loan. I watched him last week on Sunday and he just doesn't look ready for first team football, in all honesty. So we had to go in and bring someone in to, you know, compete with Kepa. Again, Sanchez for me is underwhelming. He is a good shot stopper. I think he's better with the ball at his feet than Kepa, in all honesty. But I still want us to go big in the summer and hopefully go in for Maignan again if we get back into the Champions League. So yeah, that's how I kind of look at it right now. It is where it is. I'm kind of looking at it like a stopgap, and hopefully if that means that it speeds things up a little bit with Caicedo, then of course that's great news. And another thing as well is that one of the guys that used to work at Brighton, Ben Roberts, he was the goalkeeping coach at Brighton. He apparently is the guy that brought through Sanchez. So I think he's done a lot of work in trying to bring him back to like working with him, because obviously he's at Chelsea now. So I think he's been pushing for it quite a bit and hopefully can get something out of him, because I can't deal with another season of Kepa. I cannot deal with another season of Kepa. I don't mind Sanchez going and goal for a season, but I just can't deal with Kepa for another season. Do you know what I mean? But honestly, I'm underwhelmed by it. I think people are overreacting a little bit, only because we expected a little bit something more glamorous than Sanchez. But yeah, hopefully it's just for a season and we go big again next season. But Kepa, for me, nah, I've had enough.
I'm confused about why you've settled for Sanchez. Like, albeit I didn't watch as much of him last season, but that was because he got dropped for Jason Steele, who before he started playing for Brighton was best known for being the crap keeper on Sunderland till I die when they got relegated to League One. So I don't get how Chelsea, who you just kicked the can down the road, but you've not even addressed the issue properly, because I still see Kepa being the starter. Like, Robert Sanchez last season was just incredibly error prone. A lot of Brighton fans were happy to see the back of him, and I think that's very telling because of their hatred for your football club at the minute, because you see trying to take everyone. If they're happy to give someone to you, I think that has to be a bit of a negative sign. I remember last season when in the derby, you know, Brighton Crystal Palace, was it last season or the season before, whatever one it was, he made an absolute howler that gifted Crystal Palace a goal by failing to high cross. You know, the fact that he was dropped, whether it was a relationship with De Zerbi or whatever, the stone cold matter of fact is Chelsea have just spent 20 million guaranteed on Brighton's third choice goalkeeper.
You're right. You're right.
I think that's harsh. I do think that's harsh, Tom, because if we're being honest, he was their first choice goalkeeper only up until last season. He was one of their.
So he was their first choice goalkeeper when they were back, when they weren't as good as they are.
But look at how they played.
Let's not really say when they're not as good as they were, because people were still raving on about Brighton when Graham Potter was there.
They were raving on about Brighton, but they were never.
He was very good under.
No,
He was
but
very
Brighton
good under Graham
they weren't
Potter.
a team. They were a good defensive team. We all used to know they used to fail at the other end of the pitch, and that's what they were praised for. He was a good goalkeeper, a very good shot stopper for Brighton during a period that they had a strong defensive line. I would just agree with you in saying that, yeah, it is a bit underwhelming that they are eventually going to have to sign a new goalkeeper again within the next, if not next season, the season after that, because unless Sanchez improves quite a bit, I don't see him taking you guys to the promised land. He's not the first choice goalkeeper that you would ideally want. But then again, he's not a bad player. I do think that, like you say, he can compete with Kepa. I do think he's better than Kepa. I think he's a player that will be able to take Kepa's spot. But like Tom has mentioned, the Brighton fans want him out because he does have mistakes in him. He's still young, though.
Yeah.
I still think he's got potential. And I personally,
That's the thing. That's the thing.
I just want to say, Don, there's a comment here that says that Onana's overrated anyway. Love that, by the way, my friend. But look, I look at it this way. I think you did want Onana, and I think he had his mind set on Man United very much in the same way Amrabat does, the Ten Hag connection. So I think you walked away. Magic Mike said no. How many goalies are genuinely out there in the market right now that in Europe that are of their level? In my opinion, there's none that are available. Yeah. So you're better off keeping Kepa and buying a goalie like a Sanchez, and then, as you say, maybe waiting until next summer before you make that move, as opposed to spending £50 million on a goalie that isn't as good as your actual target. So I think there's a bit of just a slight overreaction. Does that
definitely
make sense?
That's what it is.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
there's the goal.
I
think there's a goalkeeper that no one's spoken about though, and I'm surprised that no one's spoken about it, and especially since the World Cup as well. And that's the Croatian goalkeeper, Livkovic. What a goalkeeper! You know, very good at shot stopping, very good with the ball at his feet, and you'll probably be able to get him for peanuts. I don't understand why his name has not been mentioned by any major club, to be honest.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think Sanchez is more of a stopgap. Again, for me, he's not someone that I had on my list when I was looking at goalkeepers like this window. But in terms of actually making sense of it, the only thing that I can say is the fact that, like I said, Ben Roberts, who's our goalkeeping coach, has worked closely with Sanchez before. And I believe he got the best out of Sanchez during his time at Brighton under Graham Potter. Because when Graham Potter was there, Sanchez was good. Do you know what I mean? He's a good shot stopper. The ball at his feet, again, I think for me, he's better than Kepa with his ball at his feet. Not to say that I'm overrating this guy, but I just think that he's just good enough to do a job. Do you know what I mean? But ideally, I would like for us to upgrade on both of them next summer. Hopefully, go big on like a Manian, for example, like I said. But yeah, if it acts like a bit of a sweetener to get the Caicedo deal sorted out, which is what Fabrizio's been kind of saying, like on YouTube recently about, you know, we could potentially use that to bring the fee down for Caicedo. Then so be it, because he's not the worst keeper in the world. It's not like we're going in for De Gea right now. Do you know what I mean? We're going in for someone who De Zerbi doesn't like. Let's be real about it. De Zerbi just doesn't fancy him, but it doesn't mean he's completely rubbed. So for me, I think there's a little bit of an overreaction. But ideally, I would have liked someone better than him.
I get you on that. Staying with Chelsea, there's actually a super chatting question for Tom. It says, Tom, does Coliwill still want to join Liverpool?
I mean, I wish he did. He obviously doesn't. I'd just like it if my club had decided to not commit the entire thing on getting him. Because now we've been bitten in the arse and we've got no centre-back, despite it being a pressing issue. But Chelsea, the fact that Chelsea managed to tie him down to, is it a 6-year contract for Colwill now?
Yep.
That's really good business. Levi Colwill is an incredible defender. I'm gutted we missed out on him.
I hope Coliwill was smart enough to have kind of some kind of clause in there to say that in the next couple of years, if Chelsea are not doing nothing, he can leave for a fee, because it is brilliant business. I think Levi Colwill is a brilliant defender. He's going to be England's best centre back for years to come. But right now in this Chelsea project, it's at this weird crossroads where we don't know how it's going to pan out. And if someone as talented as Colwill, who wants to go and win trophies, if you're stuck in this place like Chelsea, who hasn't kicked on, that 6 years does not look like a great deal for him personally, you know. So we don't want to. He doesn't want to be a Harry Kane situation. And this is not me saying Chelsea are not going to win trophies. I'm just saying that right now, as a player, you've got to think about these things going forward, because it's such an interesting position that Chelsea are in. It literally can just go either way. And a player of his caliber, it's not easy to get out because they're not going to be willing for him to let him go for anything less than 80 million easy.
The thing is, Chelsea have such high standards. I can't see them going. The way you described it is they could potentially go down the route where they're not winning trophies and not do anything. He could be at the wrong club. But that's not Chelsea. That's not their blueprint. If it's not working, they change managers and then change suit. It's not the way they're going. So I don't see him. I don't see the risk on his side, only that if he wants to leave because he's not getting game time. The risk is probably more with Chelsea because they've got players on 6 and 8 year contracts who, if they get injured, they're stuck with them forever long, no matter what the injury is. I think
you're all thinking of Roman's Chelsea. Like that Roman Chelsea, yeah, I understand, but like this is Bowley's Chelsea, and they've not proven.
Well, let's be real here.
I get KJ. I get what you're saying.
Even
I
on
get
that,
what you're.
bro, yeah, look. Since the last window, how many young players have they signed, and how many of them have they even looked at potentially progressing into the first team? It doesn't look like much. A lot of these players, they're still doing what the old Chelsea used to do. They used to pack out the squad of lots of these talents that have the top talents around Europe, and then they just fling them out on loan. All these different. Look at Fofana. He's off out on loan, ain't he? So we're just seeing again, like this is the same old Chelsea doing the same old things. And like Kieran just said there, the only fear for me is that Chelsea are going to get a player and they're going to be forced to keep him, or it's going to be that Coliwill isn't going to be getting game time because Chelsea, as we know, big club, they're going to end up going, oh, do you know what? Coliwill is not performing to the level we need him. We're going to sign a big world-class centre-back to come replace him. And then he's going to be struggling for game time.
So one thing I would say, though, is how many of Chelsea's youngsters have left and been top class elsewhere? Who are those individuals?
Tamori, you've got Tammy.
Again,
when you say top class, what do you mean? What do you mean by top class?
So top class, I mean, good enough to lead Chelsea to Premier League and Champions League. For me, the answer is
okay.
You might say Tamori, but I'm still not convinced. Tammy Abraham, absolutely not. The point is, if Colwell's good enough, he'll be in the Chelsea first team. If he's getting replaced in 2 years by another centre-back, it's because he wasn't good enough. At the end of the day,
they tried to sign him back. Nathan Ake, he started off in the Chelsea.
No, I understand that. I understand that. But as a general rule, if you add up all the Chelsea academy players and young signings they've made, if you add them all together and work out how many have left and actually gone on to do crazy good things, you could probably look at KDB. Is probably the most famous example. But generally, the ones that leave are because they're not good enough. As a general rule, it's because they're not good enough. KDB is probably the only one that you'd look at and go, that was a big mistake from them. And all of our clubs have those players that you look back and go, a mistake. But the vast majority of our kids that our clubs let go never amount to much after they leave, to be absolutely honest. So I don't really think that should be too much of a concern based on the probability of going wrong.
Musiala's been mentioned in comments as well, which is true. Musiala is also a Chelsea product.
Musiala, Musiala, he moved on quite early, but again, he was given that trust from like what 17.
Yeah, again, but he didn't even make a first. Did he even make a first team appearance?
No, he didn't. He didn't.
Yeah,
I don't think he even went on tour with us.
He's an academy player. So that's my point. I'm talking about someone that's been given 2 or 3 years in the first team and then been replaced. How many of those players, barring KDB, have killed it elsewhere? The answer is probably none. And Mo Salah wasn't an academy player, so he doesn't count.
Yeah. No, but sorry, just quickly. But equally to jump in there, you've got to take into account the time they was at Chelsea and the development that's been stunted. Because people like Chuck Wimmer, it's gone to Chelsea. He was playing week in, week out at Aston Villa. He's breaking into Aston Villa, like Ramsey, and all of a sudden he goes to Chelsea, and where is he? He's not played in 2 seasons. So was that the right move for him? Has his development progressed? Has his development progressed since he's gone to Chelsea? How many games has he played? Would he have played more at Aston Villa? The answer is yes, 100%.
Yo,
go for it.
I agree with you, bro. I agree with you. Like when we bought Carney last summer, every week us Chelsea fans were screaming, why is Potter not playing this guy? Again, it went to Lampard. Why is Lampard not playing this man? We agree with you, bro. He should have been getting more game time, but Poch has been using him quite a lot this preseason. I expect him to stay. He's been playing really well, and I expect him to get a lot more game time. We all know, Jules, you know that how much Poch loves young players, and Carney looks like someone who can hold his own. Do you know what I mean? So I expect him to get a lot more game time this season, but I wouldn't judge him judge Chelsea based off last season because we had a bunch of clowns managing the club. Do you know what I mean? A bunch of clowns that kept playing Gallagher and players like that. So I do agree with you. I was screaming Carney should be getting played last season, but he just wasn't being played. But Potter didn't
what
fancy
about
him.
even right now? Like you're signing these players. Like I think who is it? You signed you've signed Alexi Desai. Is it Desasi?
Desasi, Axel Desasi, yeah.
And
So
then you signed. Is it Lubeka? Like you're signing these players that, if we're being honest.
No, is that French player, new French player you've just bought.
Oh, the CDM. But Jules, let me go back to the beginning because Jules, I know you said how like under Roman we used to buy a lot of players and then like loan them out. But when Todd Bowley came in, the first thing that he said is that we're going to be looking at gems from all over the world. Some of them will make it and some of them won't. But what we're looking to do is not just sign anyone. We're looking to sign the top talent so we can actually move them on and keep money coming in. So unfortunately, as much as I love everyone to be able to make it at Chelsea, it's not going to be possible, bro. But if we can make a flip on these players before they become 100 million players, it's part of the model as it is right now. I do get it. You know, there's a lot of players, even like the other week when we signed the CDM, I was thinking, bloody hell, like another one. Like how many more young talents do you want to keep buying? But the plan from the beginning has always been to buy these young talents and move them on if they don't make it at Chelsea. Yeah. But rather than keep loaning them, we're looking to sell them for a good fee. And there are going to be some of them that make it through. Do you know what I mean? Angelo Gabriel, potentially he could stay. Andre Santos, he's another one that could stay. So some of them, like I said, will make it and others will get moved on. That's just part of the business.
I typically think if you're good enough, you make it. There'll be exceptions that prove that rule. Like KJ and me fought for 2.5, 3 years on here. Kept on telling me Ethan Laird. Where's he just moved to? Bayern Munich ain't bought him. City ain't bought him. And I don't even mean it in a horrible way to these young lads. Just they're not all going to do it.